I still cannot believe that I've been on YouTube for 3 years and I don't even have like a specific backdrop or like a place to film. I kind of just like set up my ring light somewhere, which I only got like a year ago. Anyways, this video is about codependency in terms of relationships, so codependent relationships. So I have some notes here because I want to make sure that I cover everything, advice or any tips. I've got the definition of codependency here: an emotional/behavioral condition that affects an individual's ability to have a healthy and mutually satisfying relationship. Also known as relationship addiction, people with codependency often form one-sided relationships that may be emotionally destructive. I think there's a lot of like different components to codependency. I have another line here that says, if your mood, happiness, and identity is defined by another person, you could be in a codependent relationship. Can also be described as a relationship where two become so invested into each other they can't function independently. You can be in a codependent relationship where there's just one person who's very codependent on someone. For example, they don't have their own hobbies, they don't have their own friends, what they do is just what the other person does. And there's also other type of codependent relationship where both of them have to be together. They can't function individually. They don't have their own hobbies. They don't have their own friends. They don't have their own identity. Being in a codependent relationship is where, for example, you do not have your own identity without the other person, or the other person doesn't have their own identity without you. This isn't a video to bash anyone or to shame anybody, so because of that, I just want to talk about my own personal experience for the first half of this video so you kind of get where I'm coming from and so that you guys can see some red flags. So when I was 15 or 16 years old, I kind of sprinkled and mentioned this here and there. I'm going to be mentioning the word R-A-P-E, but I'm going to say ape-ray because that's Pig Latin for it. If you don't know Pig Latin, here's a quick So any words that are kind of like banned by YouTube, I'll be saying it in Pig Latin and I'll put a little translation so you guys kind of get where I'm coming from. But when I was 15 or 16, I was taken advantage of sexually in a way that I was not consenting to. I was not even in the position to consent, aka I was unconscious, and it was by a friend. And right after that, I was so hurt by it that I kept trying to convince myself that it didn't mean anything. I kind of was jumping into relationships, sleeping with people, because in my head I was like, sex doesn't mean anything. What he did to me meant nothing. And so I justified it by having like a lot of sex with people that sometimes I didn't care about, and also jumping to relationships that didn't last very long, and convincing myself that sex just it was meaningless. And it was my coping mechanism for me to be like, what happened didn't mean anything to me. Of course it did. The first male I ever told this to was 2 years older than me, and at this time he was an adult and I was underage, and I had told him that experience happened to me. The only other guy or man I told was my dad, and all the other people I told were the girls that were there that night. And the first person I confided it into was this adult. He had told me that he was also aped Ray, and he vividly told me this story about a situation that happened to him. Finding out later it was actually a lie. He admitted it to me and to my friend he had also told that to, that it was a lie. He lied about it to get in my pants. Or to gain some type of sympathy. I don't get it. This individual that I was dating stole from me, lied to me, cheated on me. Every bad thing you can think of, this guy had did to me. He had never physically hit me. And I will go into a whole video about this relationship, but it would be a 4-hour long video for me to talk about every single fucked up thing he did to me. He very much isolated me from my friends by starting rumors to them, even telling them that my personal story that I just mentioned was fake. Told people I didn't even know that. And he isolated me from my friends by gossiping to my friends about me. This guy had convinced me I was nothing, that I was a nobody, that I would never get anyone better than him, to the point where I let him not use protection when we were having sex. Insisted on not using protection, and kept saying to me that I never would get anyone better. So in my head I was like, I'm never gonna get somebody better, so who cares if I get pregnant with him, because there's no one else who's gonna love me like him. Which is a lie. Because he had isolated me so much, I became codependent on him. Didn't have interests other than his interests. what he was into was what I was into. The problems he had was the problems I had. The people he wanted to hang out with was the people I was allowed to hang out with. I had terrible self-esteem issues. My boundaries were lowered, and I wasn't able to talk about my emotions without being called a drama queen, without being called selfish. He would openly cheat on me, and I would let him because I wasn't allowed to have boundaries. Basically, I would let him because I was kept being told I didn't deserve anyone better. That's just how relationships are. I was not happy unless he was texting me. Felt like I was constantly on eggshells, that I had to please him, that I could not speak up about things he hurt me with, because then it would just be hell. I believe he is a sociopath. He liked playing those games with me, and this isn't even on the surface of that relationship. That relationship was a codependent one because I was just so absorbed into his life. He could do anything. I could not talk to other guys. I could not have my individual friends. Any friend I had, it had to be his friend, or he had to make them their friend. And if he couldn't make them their friend, and if they were trying to tell me that this wasn't a good relationship, he would isolate me from them. That's how my codependent relationship with this individual started, and I believe that I would have stayed with him if he had not moved away. Like, he had convinced me and broke me down as a human so much that I would have stayed with him to this day probably, because I was so weak and vulnerable at the time that he was manipulating me. If he had not moved away, I would be stuck with him. I think that's when I started jumping relationship to relationship, which is also part of codependency, like needing to have someone in your life in a relationship manner to feel complete. After that, I was constantly overlapping relationships, finding someone to date, and then before things get bad, finding someone else. Up until I was 19, like, I hadn't spent more than like 2 weeks single, and even when I was single, I was seeing other people. Like, I was constantly in and out of relationships because I feel like I was so addicted to having so much going on in my life when I was with this first individual. I was addicted to the drama and so much that was going on. Obviously, like, not willingly, but because so much was happening in my life when I was in a stable relationship or when I was single doing my own thing, it was boring and it was weird and it was not normal for me, because with this guy, there was something bad happening every single day there was something wrong. And so suddenly when he had left and I was like seeing other people, it was really weird for me to like not have that. I'd get bored in relationships real quick. I'm sure maybe some of my early followers like even noticed like how quickly I was jumping between relationships. But yes, with this first person, I definitely was a codependent relationship. My mood depended on whether his mood was good or not. My happiness depended on whether he was happy or not. I didn't have individual happiness. I dropped all my hobbies. I just stopped doing the things I loved doing. I didn't draw for months because I was so like invested into this person. Like, this was the definition of I burnt myself to keep this guy warm. Burning yourself to keep someone warm. Sorry that the whole part of this video was about me and this relationship and stuff, which I haven't even touched the surface on. Please comment below if you would like to hear about my abusive relationship. You can just spell it normal, it should be fine. Yeah, do comment below and I will sit down and talk for however long it takes about every single fucked up thing this person did to me, so that you guys can see those red flags and you guys can watch that video and be like, oh my god, my boyfriend's doing that to me, my girlfriend's doing that to me. That's not okay. You need to leave. So I wrote down here signs of codependency. Low self-esteem. I think a lot of people have low self-esteem, so let's go. Poor boundaries. They let their partner cheat on them. Trouble communicating thoughts, whether that's to you or to their partner. They can't even say things like, it upsets me that you're cheating on me. Dependency to have others to make them feel okay. Fear of making mistakes. No interest that is their own, just their partner's. People pleasing. Always like trying to please people, whether that is letting people do things that's not okay with you. Caretaking to the point that they give up on themselves, which is such a big one. Like, with this relationship I was in, at the time I was suicidal. I had just got kicked out of school. I was already like very mentally ill. I couldn't even like take care of myself. And still, I was using any money that I could to buy this guy food, to help support him, to buy him the drugs he wanted, to give him the experiences he's wanted. And I was working at a part-time rate, so like 4 days a week, and I was only 17, and I was putting all my money into this person and all my help, all my time, to the point where I just neglected my own health, to the point where he was like doing so many drugs that I would just do them with him so that he wouldn't do that many drugs if I took half of them, you know what I mean? Feel that your desires and needs are unimportant and will not express that your desires and needs feel unimportant. For example, my desire to be in a relationship that wasn't sleeping with other people, I could not voice that. I also wrote here, a person in a codependent relationship will neglect important areas of their life to please their partner. And this extreme dedication is damaging. For example, if your friend is neglecting dance when their friend used to go to dance 5 days a week and now they're not going to dance because they started seeing this partner, and they're neglecting that hobby or that interest that they have, it used to be such an important area in their life, to keep an eye on that, you know, to watch out for your friend and be like, yo, like, why are you doing this anymore? Like, you used to love dance, like, you said dance makes you happy. Don't find satisfaction in life outside of their partner, so when they're not with their partner, they don't seem happy. Stay in the relationship even though they know their partner is doing hurtful things. No matter what expense, they will try please their partner. They will feel constant anxiety trying to please them. Feel like they're walking on eggshells because they're scared they might do something wrong, because they're scared to lose that person because they are codependent on them. Ignore their own morals for what their partner wants. My morals are be an honest person. You know, we all make mistakes. You all might make a slip up and you might kiss someone and it's an accident. To be honest. And the partner I was with was not honest to me. They weren't honest to anybody. They weren't even honest to themselves. They were always lying. They were a pathological liar, always lying. Put my morals aside of like wanting to be around people who are very honest, and just let this person lie and lie and lie, to the point where like I could never call him out on his lies, and I knew every single time he lied. But also keep in mind, it's also not 100% the enabler's fault. You could also be this codependent person because of, you know, the way you are raised, your parents, your environment or something. Sometimes it's not always the enablers. Of course they do take part in it, and they should like motivate you to have your own interests, to do your own thing, but it's not always, you know, 100% the enabler's fault, because people do grow up codependent with their friends. I feel like their identity isn't without their friend or their friends. So I just wanted to also keep that in mind. Here I have some steps to help yourself if you are in a codependent relationship, or if you know a friend who is in a codependent relationship. First thing, of course, is to identify or talk to your friend and let them know they are in a codependent relationship. Explain this to them or send this video to them. I think the first thing is always like awareness. Like, if you don't even know the name of the relationship that you are in or what codependency is, it's really hard to like tick off the check marks that I mentioned earlier in this video. I will put all the links below of some good resources if you are in a codependent relationship or if your friends are. Soul search. To me, that really helped. Find hobbies, interests of your own, and try them. I just want to quickly add here that I know all of this is easier said than done, but specifically in the codependent relationship that I was in, he didn't let me start YouTube. He didn't want me to start a store. Like, I remember the first dream catcher I made, and I sent to him and I told him I wanted to have a online store. He laughed and said, like, good luck. Like, honestly, that looks like shit. No one's gonna buy that from you. No one's gonna buy from your store. Good luck making videos. Nobody's gonna watch you. So it is hard to start your own hobbies when you are with someone who is toxic. I just want to let you guys know it is definitely easier said than done. Take a class, even better, like a social class, a class where you have other people, because if you surround yourself with other people and you start talking, you're gonna start to realize you're in a fucked up relationship. I didn't realize I was in a fucked up relationship because I was isolated from my friends. All of the people that I knew in my life were his friends, because I wasn't allowed to have my own friends. They were his friends, and I could not talk to them about my relationship because I was scared they were gonna tell him and I was gonna I was gonna get it. Spend more time with family and friends. If you have been isolated, start a dance or art class or a sport to help you meet new people. I think that's really, really important. If you do have family and friends in your life, you know, you aren't isolated from, spend more time with them. Put more of your time with them. Even if you're like busy at home and you always gotta like do homework or something, do it in the library of your school. Try distance yourself and spend it with other people, because these other people are gonna show you that you are lovable, you're easy to love, that you are a person without your partner. Of course, when you do have someone in your life, talk to them honestly about your relationship, whether a friend or a therapist. Outside perspective can really help you realize how detrimental a codependent relationship can be to your health. Be honest about your relationship. I've met so many, like even my closest friend was in a very toxic relationship basically. It took her months and months and months to be honest to me about what this person was doing to them. That's why it took me a long time to be honest with other people with what happened in my relationship. In fact, it took me years. I think maybe there's a lot of shame that we have putting ourselves in that position. Like honestly, air your dirty laundry out to your friend about your relationship. Like have a little bitch, like have a rant, and they will tell you get out, like get out, or distance yourself, spend time. And or even if they know that, then they want to invite you more out to do things like let's go have breakfast, let's go have lunch, let's go do this, because they know that you need some your own life separate from your partner. Research codependency. So no matter what type of relationship you're in, make your main focus self-care and self-growth. Don't be quick to put someone before you. The most important relationship you will ever have is with yourself. Dr. Phil, love you. Hey daddy. The most important relationship you will ever have is with yourself, and I still stand by that. I think it's good that other people do put other people first. You cannot take care of someone if you're not taking care of yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup, so fill up your cup first and then you can pour. When you start to appreciate yourself, love yourself, set boundaries and stick to them. Know your worth and you won't settle for less. I believe that you are what you settle for. You do not need to settle for someone who is cheating on you, not treating you well, who's toxic towards you. So leave in those situations. These boundaries that you mentioned to your partner, have your head up high. Be like, I don't like when you do this, and it's not fair that you do, and if you do that, I'm not coming home. If you cheat on me, I'm leaving. Set these boundaries and stick to them. Easier to say to leave than it is to just leave. I'm sure anyone who's been in a toxic relationship has thought about it many, many times, and the time that they leave for good, it's probably like the 50th time they thought about leaving. So codependency is pretty much like extreme clinginess to relationship. So I would say detach. If you just got out of a relationship and you're codependent, you always need to have someone in your life, be by yourself for a minute. Don't go out looking for other people. Spend time doing your own thing. Take yourself out to lunch, yourself out for a coffee date. Go on a date to a park with yourself. Like, hang out with yourself. And being with yourself will help you detach. If you love yourself, you will never feel alone. If you are in a room by yourself and you love the company you are with, aka yourself, you will never feel alone. And I stand by this. I actually love to be by myself. Sometimes I'm like to my boyfriend, like, go hang out with your friends. Like, I want to be in my room by myself, playing my ukulele, playing my guitar, drawing by myself, doing my own things. I actually love being by myself. That's one quality I'm so happy that I've learned to have, to be by myself and feel content, to feel full, to feel like I have everything because I have myself. Even if you're not in a codependent relationship, if you enjoy your own company and you love yourself, you will not let someone else's company take you down. To me, this is the best advice I ever got, to just be by myself. Since learning this, I've never had to beg someone to stay. I've never had to chase someone. You want to leave? Leave. Like, I'm happy here by myself. In fact, I want you to go because you want to leave. Like, leave. The door is that way. Yes, I know that there are so many different compartments to codependency, jumping relationship to relationship, because you need people. I think this main video was focused about being codependent in a relationship where you were the only one who's codependent, and it's because that person is toxic and not treating you well, which in result makes you very clingy towards them because you think all of your worth is in someone else's hands. So if I've missed out some things, it's because I've either one, not experienced it myself, or two, just didn't do enough research, and I apologize for that. And for that, I put all the links in the description down below. I hope all of you guys have a freaking amazing week. Thank you for being my sunflowers. Thank you for being here and facing the sun with me. I hope you all have a really good week. Bye!